Let's go.
All right. Hello, Jeff. How you doing?
I'm doing well. And yourself, John?
Very good. Thank you for doing this.
Oh, I'm happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Now, we're here to talk about albums, but
Hmm.
we're also talking about your band, the Reverb Syndicate,
Yep.
and a very special anniversary.
Yeah, we're coming up on our 20th year as an active band, which, to be honest with you, for something that I originally gave 6 months, and then that would be it. We've managed to keep this thing trucking. So quite happy about that.
And tell us, I mean, the sound. Let me read your how your music is described. Reverb drenched surf sci-fi sounds to accompany 60s spy films that don't exist.
Yeah. See, when my friend Mike Bradford and I first talked about starting a band, I asked him what kind of music would you like to play, and Mike has always had an affinity for 60s surf music, and he told me he was like, well, I want to do instrumental surf music, but we got to give it some form of hook and whatnot. So we talked a little bit, and we thought, oh, let's do like a spy movie persona. It'll it'll help us with our you know musical palette for songwriting as well. It kind of feeds into our kitschy B movie leanings. But I mean, I didn't think anybody would be into it. I gave it about 6 months. Maybe our girlfriends would come out and watch the shows, and then we'd be trying to figure something else out. But that was like 6 studio albums, multiple international tours, 20 years later. So I guess I probably didn't, I dropped the ball on that. I didn't see the audience for what it was.
And you never thought of having vocals at all. It was always instrumental.
No, I mean, if I think if anyone in the band had a little more vocal talent, maybe the thing would have come up. But it's probably everyone's better off if we don't sing. So, and it. Hey, man, like instrumental tunes used to be the some of the standards, man. Like Link Ray exists for a reason, and he set the tone for a lot of popular music. So nothing wrong with that.
No. Now you seem to explore new tones and moods on your last album, Reverb 6.
Mhm.
How did that come? Am I right? Am I?
Well, see, each of our previous albums had a different type of theme to it, all following into that like kitschy style. Our first one was that Sci-Fi sound. Our second one built on that, but kind of had its Moonraker era with
Mhm.
Sputnik a Go Go. Then we leaned into spaghetti western. These were all necessary things to help with our again with our musical palette. We need to tell a story, but we don't have lyrics to do that with. So how do you do that? You create this movie narrative, give it a theme and a template for it, and you can write your stories and your songs that way. Keeps you from repeating yourself, keeps you from just going back to the same things all the time with your tones. And Reverb 6, this was started while it was in the pandemic era,
Mm.
and we didn't quite really know what to do with ourselves in that time. We weren't being as creative as we had been previously because we all had bigger issues to deal with. Um, and we just let this one happen naturally. This was just don't worry about the theme, don't worry about the tone. Just take the 20 years that we've been a band, or at least like the 18 when we started writing it, and let that just happen. And so that's how we got Reverb 6. That's why we didn't really give it a name aside from this is our sixth album. Not many bands get to this point, let it stand
No.
on its own.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love some of the track titles: "Human Error Club," "Quarantine Beach," which fits in with
Hmm.
the pandemic, "Damn Fine Cup of Coffee."
That's actually a Twin Peaks reference.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I was
So,
wondering.
yeah,
Yeah. So how do
yeah.
you come up with that's a good question. How do you come up with the titles? If you have like a theme sound to each album,
Yeah.
theme. How do you?
Well, we first start with like if we come up with the theme of the album, which is like if you're visiting um, like a spy movie,
Hmm.
and if there's what do you have in a spy movie? You have inevitably you're going to have a car chase, and so that's how we get oil slicks and ejector seats. And then in the Spaghetti Western album, well, there's always a gunfight. So that's where we get the 7 Habits of the Highly Effective Gunfighter. You just let the story happen and in your minds, and then you just try to pick the song that meets that part of the story. You write the soundtrack to that, and then you start just throwing some names out and see what sticks.
Very cool. Now you must have quite a few highlights from 20 years.
Yeah, I mean, the fact that we just hit 20 years, like, I mean, that's
Hmm.
that's a highlight in its own right. The fact that the band, I mean, no one is quitting their job to do this full time. We like to call ourselves a small S successful band. Um, we don't go into pocket for it anymore. The band pays for itself, and it just kind of allows us our creative elements. But like over 20 years, it's like the little things that sometimes really make you think like this is so cool. How did I get to do this? Like I've gotten on an airplane multiple times to go and play music for people in another country. Wow, that's cool. Like 17-year-old me would be super ecstatic about that. I think we added it up and we did something close to 70,000 kilometers traveled
Wow.
as a band.
Wow.
And again, for a band that I thought would last 6 months, like,
Yeah.
geez, that's a success. Or I'll get a call and say, hey, did I just hear your music on a Netflix kids show? And I'll be like, I don't know, did you? What was it? And then I'd go look it up, and yep, sure, there it is. We're playing in the background on a Netflix kids show. We've also been used on Dog the Bounty Hunter, but that's a different story. Another time, I'll get a message and say, hey, do you know Charles DeLint, the author? And I'm like, nope, can't say I do. He says, well, he just name dropped your band in his recent book.
Oh, wow.
And I'm like, who is this guy? So you go and you look and you read about it, and then I buy the book and I read the story, and sure enough, there it is. We're listed as one of the characters' musical choices. And I'm like, this is all crazy stuff. Like that,
Yeah.
I never would ever thought that this would happen to me. And it's like that to me is success. So yeah, and those are all the highlights. And I mean, shows, like we've played hundreds of shows, and like to 1,000 people, and we've played shows to 10 people and every number in between, and all of them are fun.
Mm.
So wow, just those are the types of highlights that keep a guy doing this for 20 years.
Yeah, exactly. Talk about highlights. You're going to be celebrating your
Yeah,
anniversary, and I think that might become a highlight.
I hope so. I hope so. On May 8th, for those in the Ottawa, Ontario region, we're playing at Club Saw. We're doing a show to celebrate the 20 years of the band. We're going to have some guests come on stage with us, old band members from the original. And I mean, that's another thing. I mean, we've been a band for 20 years, and we've really only ever had one lineup change.
Mm.
Our original drummer left town to start a family with his lovely wife. He's going to come up and play a couple songs
Oh,
with us.
that's cool.
Our original rhythm guitar player, we didn't replace him, but he's been living in the UK, and he helped record this last album remotely. And when he heard we were going to do a big 20th anniversary party, he's flying in to play.
Oh, wow.
So
That's cool.
it's going to be like a reunion for us. And opening the show is a fun band called the Decomposers. It's like if you're a classically trained musician, string section met with the shop class underneath the bleachers to play, covers of System of a Down and Pink Floyd. So we're looking forward to that. I think that'll be a fun thing. And yeah, it's just going to be a good night, I think.
Very good. Very good. Shall we talk albums?
I think that's why we're here.
Yeah. How did you find the whole process of trying to choose the albums?
Well, some of them, I think if we look back, I think we did this previously, and I think
Yeah, you were
we
one
were
of
the
the first
first.
ones. Yeah,
Yeah.
I started this
Uh,
during Yeah, long ago.
Long ago,
And
yeah.
yeah,
And I bet you if you go back, you'll find some of those my first choices are still on that list. I mean,
they
when you have
seem
something that calls stands the test of
familiar.
time,
Yeah.
yep, that seems like it would be, but it does. It's hard to differentiate between what you're listening to right now because everybody gets those moments where they get really into something, um, and they forget about what they were listening to before or a couple years back.
Yeah.
That's kind of means more to them. I mean, those are some of those albums that when you get an opportunity to go back and listen to again, you're like, oh yeah, this is why I was here in the first place.
Mm. There seems to be some sort of thread between your choices, and I've been trying to think what it is, and all I could think of is it's like if you listen to all of them in one go, it's like
Yeah.
attending an outsider art fair.
Yeah. I mean that definitely rings a little true. I mean, I grew up as a vicious little punk rock kid in Sarnia, Ontario, and I got most of my music hanging out in skateboard parks.
Mm,
And when you do live in a small Ontario town, your access to music, particularly in the 80s, was limited.
mm.
So you basically got your hands on whatever you could, and you kind of um, just let each part grow on itself. Pick what you like, pick what you don't like, and then let that steer you on to the next direction. So
Well, let's start with your go-to, your go-to
mhm.
album.
Right now, go-to album is by a band called Murder by Death. It's called Bitter Drink, Bitter Moon,
Mhm.
and they are, in my mind, kind of the gold star standard for the murder ballad. This is a band that I've traveled to go see, and I mean, like, get on an airplane, fly to Denver, Colorado, because they create a mood, and they also know the importance of the kind of theatrical part of music and playing in the correct settings. And when we flew to Denver, they do an annual show at the Stanley Hotel in their ballroom there. And for those of you who don't know, the Stanley Hotel is where Stephen King stayed and then promptly wrote The Shining.
Mm.
So that's kind of puts you where that band is at. And the name implies that they're much heavier than they are, but they're very folky oriented.
And the vocalist has quite a
Such a
voice.
voice. Yeah, and it's so deep and soulful, and then you see the man and you meet the man and he's this skinny white dude, and I'm just like, that voice comes from that man. Like, wow, it's incredible. I mean, that album in particular has so many really good songs on it, like I Came Around, which is a story about, I'm going to assume, a fictional story about his father's funeral. No Oath, No Spell, Lost River. These are all just really good, soulful storytelling songs.
Yeah, it's quite. From what I read, it says it's a cinematic Gothic Americana album that leans
Yeah.
into dark folklore storytelling.
Oh
Yeah,
wow,
it's
let's see.
quite.
I almost nailed the bio right
Yeah, yeah,
there.
yeah. I was thinking, you have the same notes as me. Now your Sunday morning, and before you mention it, you say, "I like my Sunday mornings with a touch of depression." I thought that
I
was.
that Yeah. So there's an album called Everything Is Fine by Amigo the Devil, and he is just a master of turning a phrase. And but a lot of the subject matter that he deals in with drug use, depression, um, again, murder, suicide, uh, really dark, but such great storytelling in it. And the way he presents vocally and how his voice can change from moment to moment just sells the moment that you're in so well that it's hard not to be like drawn into it, regardless of the subject matter. But there's songs on that record, Hungover in Jonestown, again, just phrase after phrase that just jumps out at you. And other ones where you play it for people and he just says things that, at some point everybody has been thinking.
Mm.
For example, there's one song called I Hope Your Husband Dies,
Mm.
which is a song about the woman you love marrying somebody else. And you hear it and you almost kind of spit your water out of your mouth because it's right there. It's right in your face. And it's so well done.
And again, the vocalist is quite unique.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For a guy in an instrumental band, I tend to like vocalists that
Yeah,
have
that's true. Yeah.
very distinct voices.
Yeah, that's true. I never thought of that. Now, the first one you bought, you talked about skate parks before, and you mentioned that
Yeah.
in your list that you sent me. Your
So
first one you bought.
I think the first album that I ever bought with my own money, with my own, like walked into the store with my own hard-earned dollars and put down on the table I think it was Appetite for Destruction by Guns N' Roses. Mm-hmm. And you can see that was just, a kid who wants to hear something angry, but only has access to so much, right? Mm. And that album was just like, well, that changed a lot of people's ideas of rock and roll at that point in time in 1986. And it was such a raw for such a mainstream accepted album. It was very, very raw. It was like the Stones, but even angrier and whatnot. And it was well before their self-indulgent era where everything where people should have been telling them no and no one would. But yeah, Appetite for Destruction that was definitely a key spot on my musical roadmap.
Yeah, I think a lot of people would go along with you on that one.
Mm-hmm.
Now, an album that stands the test of time.
Stands the test of time. I think for me, that would have to be 13 Songs by Fugazi. That was just a real introduction into what intelligent post-punk hardcore could be, as well with a very expansive sonic palette. And I mean, like, I remember the first time hearing Waiting Room with my friends and just like, oh, this is, punk rock can also be this. This is amazing, right? Like, this is a very different sound. And then the interplay between the two vocalists on other songs like Give Me the Cure, Suggestion, like these were all dealing with subject matters that my young mind couldn't really wrap their head around when I first heard it, and then got better and smarter and stronger with each listen after that.
Mm. And you told me that you never not have regular rotation on this.
Yeah,
you're always listening.
Yeah, that one is always. I don't think there's probably a week or two. Like if I go 2 weeks without hearing at least a handful of songs off that record, it's a problem. If I'm doing the dishes, if I'm cooking dinner, what am I putting on? That's a good chance that could be one that's in the start there.
Do you like their other albums as well? Because this is an early one, isn't it?
I think it's one of their first ones, and I think that's where you really catch lightning in a bottle. And your first exposure to a band, I think, is always going to have the most meaningful impact on a person. I think that's why we always say, "Oh, I like their old stuff better," because that's when it hits you the first and it hits you the hardest. I mean, it's not to say that past records aren't equally as good, but they just might not have that same significance for you, so it feels a little bit less. But I mean, In on the Kill Taker was a good record. They also did an all instrumental album that was also really good. The name of that one's escaping me at the moment, but truly standing the test of time is 13 Songs.
Good. Now, the last one that you bought.
The last one that I bought, which I believe is by a band called Deny Deny out of Montreal. We played with them at the end of last year. And they're a band that is made up of a variety of Montreal musicians that I've interacted with in the past, and a bunch of really good players and all making the core of a bunch of great bands. But they're very much kind of like Slavic dub wedding punk, like very celebratory life songs, but there's vocals are back and forth from English and Ukrainian. It's just really, really good. It's like gypsy music gone crazy. And there's a track on that album called Healthy, which is, a pretty realistic portrayal of what it's like touring the world on no budget in a punk band, for lack of a better phrase, based on here to bring positive vibes and celebration. So that I really liked.
Yeah, when I heard that, I thought, oh yeah, so I can understand why Jeff would choose this one. I definitely. And
Yeah.
the one I love, Parova Machina, I think it's called.
Yeah.
And if you, there's a YouTube video of that, and they just seem to have so much fun.
Fun, so much fun, right? Just such good times with the people on there. And yeah, and like I said, the members of that band have played in a variety of Montreal bands that I've interacted with, and I think that is the one unifying point to that band is the celebratory nature of what music could be. And it's not about dollars and success. It's about people, interaction, culture specifically, and the celebration of it.
And there's 7 members, and they're from Ukraine and Bulgaria.
Yeah,
quite good.
Yeah, super fun.
Yeah, thanks for introducing that to me. That's good. Now, an album that more people should hear. I know this was on your the first time that we met in this manner.
So that album that I think more people should hear is an album called Cypher by Slim Cessna's Auto Club. And Slim Cessna is a Denver musician. He's kind of known as the godfather of the Denver sound. It's a very American Gothic revival religious kind of album, like very tongue solidly in cheek when I say religious. It's that album in particular, and they've got a very long running span of a career and span of different albums. But I think that album in particular is like where the songwriting, the production, and just the overall musicality and storytelling really, it's them at their best. It's them at their absolute best. And there are songs on there like Introduction to the Power of Braces. It is revisited 3 times throughout the album, all in slightly different ways, very thematic. It's the same song, but presented slightly differently. And then you get into other ones like Jesus is in my body and my body has let me down. Everyone is guilty. All songs, solid tongue in cheek, but you can see, that at one point in their lives, they've all been in that churchy environment, which also is partially why I think I was drawn to it, because I grew up in a very religious household, even though I didn't quite land with me. But some of the themes and the tones that they brought to their songwriting that he brings there was very nostalgic for me. And I think during the pandemic, he was doing a thing once a month where he would just stream a small concert from his home, and halfway through he would bring his mom in with him, and they would do old church hymns. And I would be like, I sang that song when I was a kid. This is amazing, very Calvinist, old kind of church stuff. And I really enjoyed it. And again, probably one of the best live shows I've ever seen. And that's truly what brought them to really got me with them, is seeing them at the Dominion Tavern and watching Glenn with this 4-foot tall mohawk on his hands and knees giving praise, with Slim Cessna walking around pouring beer on people, and banjos played through Marshall amplifiers, and a big double neck Telecaster guitar that has one of those hologram things. When you shift it one way, it's the Virgin Mary, and you shift it the other way, it's the crucifix. Just just crazy, all going just ham in the Dominion Tavern.
Yeah.
It's such a, again, it was an experience, and
Yeah.
when that first experience grabs you, brings you in, and then you just got to be all about it.
That's super. Well, that
Mhm.
concludes our albums. What's in the future for the Reverb Syndicate?
I think it's just, like I said, May 8th, 20th anniversary show. If you're in the Ottawa area, come check it out. I think what's in the future for us is just keeping having fun, see what comes next. Like, we've talked about the concepts of success. What else is that going to be now? Right? What other new fun thing is going to pop up that makes us go, oh, that's cool. Let's do that. So, yeah, 20 years in, what's
20,
next?
20 more.
20 more, 20 more. And you know, when you play in a surf band, that doesn't seem all that outrageous.
No, it's true. It's true.
Yeah.
Good. Well, thanks again, Jeff, for doing this. I
Oh,
appreciate it.
much appreciated. Thank you very much. This is always a fun chat.
Good. We'll keep in touch.
Till then.